Good morning and welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining today. We're going to be talking about the 5 voice AI secrets of ultra-efficient contact centers. We're going to specifically dig into how to turn customers into owners of their own support experience to drive down operational costs. So really excited to share this stuff. Please feel free to submit questions throughout, and we'll answer them in the order they're submitted at the end of the presentation. So some quick intros. It's a pleasure to be here today with Kizer, who heads up customer service operations at Root Insurance, Jafar Adibi, who leads data science and AI at Talkdesk, and I'm Lindsey Plocek. I lead marketing at Observe.AI. Here's a quick agenda of what we're going to cover, but before we turn things over to Kyle at Root, we're just going to set the stage and talk just a little bit about what voice AI is. You're probably wondering, what the heck is voice AI? How is it different from other things you've heard of, such as speech analytics? So at a basic level, voice AI analyzes 100% of your support calls using 3 technologies: speech recognition, natural language processing, and AI. And ultimately, it's used to help you coach and enable your agents with insights that improve the customer experience. It also automates some quality assurance processes, such as finding calls to review, monitoring compliance. And what's really unique about it is that it drives 80% or higher transcription accuracy in a contact center environment. And that's because it allows you to search audio for the first time, and it factors in things like acoustics. So overtalk, silence types, hold time, intonation, and sentiment. These are all things that are really critical to provide context in contact centers, and voice AI accounts for all of that. So now that we know a little bit about what voice AI is, Kyle, I'd love to turn it over to you and just hear a little bit more background on Root Insurance and your mission over there.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for the introduction. I'm excited to be with everyone today discussing voice AI and the benefits that we have found here at Root. Before we dig into that, let's talk a little bit about Root and who we are as an organization. So Root is an insurance company that was founded in 2015 as a personal auto insurance carrier in the U.S. We've had a tremendous amount of growth and success over the last 4.5 years. The reason we do business a little bit different than what most people are used to. Since the beginning, our goal has been to tackle the archaic insurance industry. Through the use of data and technology, we base rates primarily on how people actually drive and not who they are. In addition, we only insure good drivers. That means that safe drivers aren't paying for the accidents of non-safe drivers. Our product delivery is also slightly unique. Traditional insurance carriers deliver through agents. We, however, deliver through our state-of-the-art app right at your fingertips. The result, our product is more fair, affordable, and much easier of an experience. In the last 2 years, there's been a shift in how consumers view and want to interact with their insurance products. I've been in the industry for a little over 5 years now, 4 of which was spent at a national insurance giant that's been in business for over 90 years. That time was extremely valuable in understanding how customer needs are shifting and their service expectations are changing. The challenge, innovating a century-old business model. In most cities across the country, brick-and-mortar agent offices sell and advise customers on their traditional insurance solutions. This hand-holding approach doesn't come cheap. Each office and the agents who work from them attribute to the company's overhead, which is then passed on to customers in their monthly premiums. Times are changing, though, and success of our business model in the last 5 years has demonstrated people would rather be rated fairly for how they drive and save on their premiums by owning their own experience in the app rather than pay for a local agent's overhead. There is, however, a challenge when you're turning an age-old industry upside down. People have relied so heavily on their agent to advise on which products to buy and how much of it. Our continued opportunity is to make our app as educational and easy to use as possible so that our consumers feel empowered to ditch the high rates and agent dependency while enjoying the savings we can then pass on to them. In order to do this, customers owning their experience through self-service is critical.
So Kyle, thanks for sharing that. What did Root's quality assurance process look before you started using voice AI? What were you guys doing over there?
Absolutely. So it seems like such a long time ago, but in reality, it was just 7 months ago. And prior to implementing voice AI, our quality review process was extremely manual. yet traditional in the sense of how most contact centers handle quality today and have done so for many years. Our CSR to quality ratio is about 50 to 1, and any average month, an analyst evaluated 2 calls per associate. When we were looking to select a call to be reviewed, we randomly sampled based on call duration. During any given month, our CSRs take hundreds of calls, close to 1,000. By only evaluating 2 calls, our QAs were touching a very small sample of the total interactions. That had changed about 7 months ago when we made the transition over to Voice AI. So this is where we are today. Voice AI has helped our team evolve from the outdated, non-efficient, and many times non-effective ways of reviewing interactions to a more strategic approach. Voice AI goes beyond random sampling to target associate-specific quality gaps. We were able to add most of the questions that we use in our quality rubrics to the Voice AI dashboard. In real time, the tool scans all of our agents' calls and quickly identifies outliers. This is huge. Rather than random sampling with the hope of finding a coaching opportunities, QAs now have the visibility to identify where an associate's largest performance gaps are and what calls they should be targeting. By segmenting these calls and leveraging the call transcripts, our QAs can quickly review and provide feedback to our agents for skill uplift that provide the most value for that individual. This takes the guesswork out of quality and ensures that we're addressing the largest skill gaps on our team.
So obviously things have been going really well over there. Everyone knows has grown a lot in the last 24 months. Can you talk us through how your support team changed, the size, the roles, and the volume of interactions you've been dealing with?
Absolutely. So 2019 was a huge year for us, filled with tremendous growth. One of the biggest areas was expanding our auto product. We started the year at 21 states, now ending the year of 2019 at 29 states. We also launched a new renter's insurance product, which is in 3 states. To support all of this expansion, our customer service team grew from 20 to 120 agents, supporting 29,000 to 102,000 monthly interactions, respectively. Continued expansion means increased complexity. Due to product expansion and state-specific coverages and regulations, our team is constantly flexing between interactions. So you may be asking, what are those 102,000 monthly interactions we're getting today? Our team handles all stages of the customer journey with the exception of claims. This includes questions like how our product works, app support, selecting coverage options, making policy changes, billing, all the way up through renewals. The good news for our customers is that our team is well equipped with a wealth of training and resources to support their needs. The continued opportunity for us is understanding the variety of those requests, gaps within our team, and how to act with urgency as new needs arise.
Great. And I know when we talked in the past, you shared that having an omni-channel approach is really important to you, especially important to getting customers to own their own experience. What does your support tech stack look like today, and what role does voice play in that?
So the Root app is the foundation of who we are. We've taken the time to build a really powerful user experience that continues to evolve weekly through our app updates. Just like we use data in rating our drivers, we use data to understand customer habits and demands with our product. If we see customers are frequently reaching out regarding a specific topic, we dive deeper to understand what with that in-app experience is not clear. We then innovate our design and app functionality to make it better for future experiences. This is a top priority across Root to ensure that the needs of our customers are constantly being met, which establishes brand loyalty and increases our customers' ability to self-serve. In addition to our easy-to-use app, we have FAQs targeted at self-service, which are available on our website and, of course, right in the Root app. If a customer is unable or unaware of our self-service offerings, our customer service channels can then be leveraged. Our team services 3 channels: phone, email, and chat. To align with our mission, we integrate self-service and AI into most of our interactions prior to agent involvement. For email, we use an AI bot to analyze customer inquiries and auto-reply with recommended articles, including self-service direction within 5 minutes of the customer pressing send. For phones, we use voice routing within our IVR to understand why customers are calling and play a tailored audio file answering their question or providing self-service instruction. Later to come in 2020, we'll be introducing a chatbot that will take some of the demand off of our team for simple requests and open capacity for more complex, non-self-serviceable items. So talking through where phone fits into the tech stack. So as in most organizations, phone channels are typically the most expensive of any of the serviceable avenues. For us, and as I've shared, we take pride in doing things slightly differently. We're giving customers a new type of insurance experience, and we understand that for most, this is a change. When our app, FAQs, AI bots, or informational IVR journeys fall short, that's when our customers are put through to one of our phone agents. Although our goal is for customers not to need to call us, each interaction that does come through is an opportunity to be an advocate and capture critical insights on our products. These insights help us understand how customers are interacting with our products, marketing, and service issues that prevent people from doing things through self-service. Although our phone channel is the last line of defense, because of the time commitment and expense, we still receive thousands of calls every month from our other channels not being able to take care of customers. We look at this as a win. As a startup, understanding how your customers are reacting to your product is crucial to the success of your business. So how does Voice AI support us with this? It helps us understand what isn't working or is hard to use by filtering through thousands of calls, pinpointing pain points, analyzing customer feedback, the ability to act with urgency to improve our user experience, and strategically planning innovative efforts based around the customer for the customer. In essence, the voice channel becomes a critical element to understanding what needs to be done for our brand's continued success.
Great, thank you for sharing that. And I know when we last talked, you shared 4 particular areas that you were using Voice AI for. So they were increasing call coverage volume, uncovering those outlier calls where things are happening that you want to dig into deeper, identifying gaps in compliance, and inspiring tailored coaching and training. So let's dig into each of these 4 areas a little bit more specifically, starting with why is 100% call coverage so important to you guys, and what did your coverage look like before?
Sure. So call coverage is one of the main reasons that we began looking into Voice AI and analytics. Prior to Voice AI, our call coverage for QAs and supervisors was approximately 0.003%, and that came from the 2 calls per agent per month that we were evaluating. That means we were missing out on insights from 99.997% of our calls. With Voice AI, we have 100% call coverage. So why is that so important to us? It's no secret that for many companies, the customer views service teams as the face of the brand. Because our customers are introduced to our brand through an app, most will only have a digital experience up until the point that they reach out to us. This is an increased opportunity to get it right when we do connect. To ensure we get it right, visibility is crucial to understand our business holistically. One of the key players in our success are our agents. Since the beginning, we've taken pride in building a team of unique talent. But being unique means that each employee has their own areas of strength and opportunity. 100% call coverage allows us full visibility into what an agent is doing well and where they can improve. This visibility then allows us to identify true training opportunities at volume rather than by sample. Voice AI doesn't stop there. Once you can pinpoint the agent-specific skill gaps, you can go a layer deeper to understand what behaviors are driving the gap through call segmentation. This precision allows leaders and quality teams to provide the most applicable coaching feedback on an individual agent basis. After coaching, Voice AI allows teams to easily monitor improvement and identify continued needs.
That's great. And as you search and filter through calls, what are some of the outlier calls you're tracking that have provided the most meaningful insights for your business?
So let's talk about 2 important contact center performance indicators that outliers tell a story from. The first being average handle time for efficiencies and customer satisfaction to understand the user's perception of your people and product. So first, we'll dig into average handle time. For insights, we filter based on long calls and short calls. A trend of long calls could trigger a gap in agent knowledge, confidence, or control, or they could indicate a non-efficient process. Short calls, on the other hand, can help us easily identify easy wins. If the calls are easy in the first place, why do we receive them? We dive deeper to understand why the customer couldn't resolve their request through our app or available resources. On the other metric, let's talk a little bit about customer satisfaction. So it's extremely important to us, being a startup insurance company, we want to make sure that we have a continual conversation loop with our customers, and the product that we're delivering to them is up to par with their standards. To do that, we take customer satisfaction seriously. We use a moment within Voice.AI titled Customer Negative Sentiment. And what this area does is it looks for calls where the tone or word choices portray a negative viewpoint from the caller. These moments then allow us the ability to understand what customers don't like or makes them unhappy. Based on the findings, we can prioritize coaching our people, redesigning our internal processes, innovating our products, or optimizing our technology to improve.
Great. And I know in insurance, compliance is obviously really critical. What types of compliance gaps have you been able to identify and target with coaching?
So insurance is one of the most heavily regulated industries in the marketplace today. For us as a customer service team, there are two areas that we're targeting to reduce exposure through our day-to-day efforts as a team. The first area is around a recorded call disclosure. So all of the phone calls that come into our center and leave our center that we initiate as outbound calls are recorded. As such, we're required to inform the callers of the recording on these calls. To make it consistent for our team, we created a call script that was approved by our legal team. For compliance, this is extremely important. In the event we're denying a claim or referencing previously disclosed information, many times due to a fraud investigation, the call disclosure can be the difference in having proof versus being thrown out and on the hook for us to have to pay a non-covered loss. Prior to Voice.AI, we completed a spot check to ensure this mandatory disclosure was being read by our agents. What we found, though, was that we had a huge miss. Around the same time, we were implementing Voice.AI. With awareness to the miss, we prioritized adding this as an insight, and we wanted 100% call coverage around it. We turned it on, and we had an instant accurate scope of the frequency and impact across our team. The data quickly pointed out who on our team was opening us up to the greatest exposure and how frequently. We were able to then take this miss back to the team and deep dive to understand why there was a miss and what our agents were doing relative to our standard operating procedures. We found that we had buried this disclosure in the 8th paragraph of a 9-paragraph verification document. Our solution was to break out and simplify the massive information into channel-specific handling procedures. We then communicated the process change and importance of the process to our team, partnered with our trainers to ensure this was emphasized during onboarding, and lastly discussed with our quality assurance team and supervisors to monitor improvement and coach outliers accordingly. Now, one other area for compliance that we're looking at is around formal complaints. As I mentioned, insurance is a heavily regulated industry. Each formal complaint to the departments of insurance increase our exposure as a business. Identifying when a threat to escalate is occurring can be crucial if there is a valid reason. Identifying when terms like the Department of Insurance are being mentioned, we're able to vet these calls for validity. This gives us the opportunity to mitigate some of the volume by quickly addressing customer frustration and correcting gaps in our process for future compliance needs.
Thanks for sharing. And piggybacking on that, you mentioned in the past that Root has a really interactive quality program, and you're a fan of targeting coaching to each agent's unique needs. Can you give us an example of how coaching works at Root and how Voice.AI has played a role in coaching and creating coaching content?
Sure. So one of the big areas here for our team is escalations. So as I had shared, formal complaints can be critical to our business. In our contact center, we found that many formal complaints actually started as escalations within our team. In addition, escalations in any contact center are costly due to the amount of time and resources we throw at them to resolve. So what we did, we configured a voice insight to identify when customers were requesting to escalate calls to a supervisor or a manager. This allowed us to identify not only who, but what was driving up our escalations. For the who part, we could see in a matter of seconds a ranking of all 120 of our agents by the percent of calls that they escalate. For what, we had the calls lined up quickly to identify what behaviors and situations were driving up our escalations. This made building an escalations training that directly tied to the conversations taking place in our environment a breeze. Before Voice AI, this would have taken so much longer, and the accuracy of the training material would have been much less impactful. By knowing who needs the help and what help they actually need, our training team was able to course correct the behavior through education and awareness in a short period of time. Beyond the classroom, these same moments on our scorecards in Voice AI allowed supervisors, trainers, and quality analysts to continue to monitor post-training improvement and escalation reduction rates over time. So let's talk a little bit about tailored coaching conversations. Since becoming a leader many, many years ago, the motto that I have always stood by is that my success is defined by the success of my team. What that means for me is that the success of our team brings out the best in every single agent. We're able to do that by throwing out any one-size-fits-all coaching approach and tailoring our conversations on an individual basis. Voice AI allows us to look at an agent's full call product and understand the story, what's going well for recognition, and where there are gaps to dive deeper for understanding and provide the most impactful coaching. As a good leader, you should know some of the gaps that your agents have. The question is, are those gaps the ones that you should be prioritizing? A negative behavior that you may have caught on, say, a call poll or a randomly sampled quality evaluation may need to be addressed. But what if there's something happening that's impacting more customer or tied to a more heavily weighted area in your business, such as compliance? Voice AI helps ensure that you're an optimized leader by identifying and addressing the right gaps. On the opposite end, positive behaviors are just as important to engage your agents and learn best practices from those doing great work every day. Voice AI helps you see these agents too. This also helps you identify your change advocates among the team.
Great. First off, thank you so much for sharing so many specific examples and stories. I hope everyone has a lot of really actionable takeaways from that. And now that we know how Root uses Voice AI, we're going to talk a little bit about the 5 secrets, which are really all geared toward how you implement this correctly. I'm going to read off the 5 secrets, and then we'll dig into a couple of them. The first one is to set your strategy, set your KPIs, and really start small. This tool can do a lot of different things, but we hear time and time again that people don't want to boil the ocean. You really need to start in a focused capacity, and we'll dig into that in a second here. The second tip is to define the moments that matter to your business. Your support conversations are really unique, and there are a lot of ways to dig into those most meaningful moments on conversations. So making a list of what those moments could be is really critical to your success. The third is driving adoption across the team. So I know we talk a lot about quality analysts using Voice AI and coaching the agents, but there are so many other roles on the team in compliance, in training, in other divisions of your company that can use it. So really driving adoption and exposing people to the tool early on is key. The fourth, which I took right from you, Kyle, is to act with urgency to create training and coach agents. For a lot of years, I think people have gotten speech analytics and insights from calls, but it's really driving that behavior change and driving it quickly that is going to make an impact. So I know Root has acted really rapidly to roll out trainings and content from the insights they've gathered. And then the fifth is to make quality assurance interactive and really personalize it to your agents. So these are the 5 things that we've seen people be most successful with when implementing. And I thought we could just dig into a few here. So starting with the first, Kyle, what were some of Root's major objectives when you got started with Voice AI?
So when we started using Voice AI, our main objective was to increase call coverage. We knew by doing so that we'd be able to efficiently and effectively impact our agents and our customer experience. For agents, our goal was really just to understand what those gaps were that were taking place on the team and through our different phone calls, so that way we could tailor our coaching discussions and have the largest return on investment. For our customer experience, our goal was to really understand their responses to our product and processes.
Great. And who uses voice AI in your team today, and what divisions could you see using it in the future?
So currently, we have voice AI rolled out across our customer service team. So the entire support and leadership groups, in total about 20 folks within customer service, are using the tool. Where I see us scaling this out, not just within our team to our agents and additional, support capacities for the insights that it can provide. I could also see us down the line expanding this to other areas of Root, such as like our product team, where they would have direct access to the information and the insights that it's providing.
Great. And one final question before we turn it over to Jafar and talk about artificial intelligence best practices in general. What types of trainings or remediations have you built to act on the insights you've gathered?
Sure. So the main trainings that we have built across the floor, we actually just rolled it out, what I was speaking on with our supervisor de-escalation training, and it's been very beneficial. Like I said, we were able to prioritize the top individuals that had gaps to get them in a classroom environment first. But also the relativity of what was going on the interactions and causing escalation. So not only the call types, but also the different behaviors. And I want to stress there that it's not just identifying those calls that ended up with an escalation, but also identifying calls where the customer was requesting to escalate and we were able to successfully de-escalate. So voice AI helps you see both sides in that full picture to take those best practices back as you're building an applicable and impactful training.
Thank you. Jafar, you want to take it away and talk a little bit about AI best practices?
Of course. Thanks, Lindsey, very much. I would like to talk about two don'ts and two do's, basically, about general artificial intelligence and specifically about text and voice analysis. So let's start with the first do's. The first one is expect the unexpected. So when we talk about voice analysis and text analysis, sometimes we think it's easy. But it's not. There are many complicated cases, many complex cases that it's not easy to understand and it's not easy to analyze. Even some companies, when I talk to some of our clients, they start thinking that maybe we should build this ourselves. But I tell you two great examples. If you remember in 90s when they wanted to make a collect call, they tried to make it totally automatic. So the idea was that you ask the person, do you accept this charge? And they were expecting that the person says yes. But that was not the case. People don't always talk the way that you think they do. So you expect the person says yes to the answer of the question, which is do you accept this charge? But people might say yup, or they might say aha, or maybe they say of course, or why not. So there are many variations of a simple of answers to a simple question. And sometimes in voice analysis, even it could be more interesting. Someone is on the phone, then you ask the question, and the person might say wait to the other person in the room and go back to the phone and say yes. So even a simple yes suddenly becomes two words, wait and yes, and then you don't know what's going on. So the number one in voice and text analysis in AI is that you have to cover all cases. This is number one. The second one is even more interesting. When we talk about text analysis, the conversations are not always straightforward. Sentiment analysis is one example that I would love to talk about it, and you heard about it. You look at the conversations and figure out was customer happy or was customer not happy. And if you ask the question from the person that are you happy, may they say yes, I'm happy or not happy. But if you look at some text and you would like to figure out what the sentiment of the text, that would be more difficult. Just imagine someone want to talk about the BMW, if she likes it or she doesn't like it. If she says, yes, I like BMW, so that's straightforward. You see the sentiment is positive. If someone says, I do not like BMW, that's negative sentiment. But how about if someone says, my father thinks that my sister doesn't like BMW? Now suddenly it's getting more interesting. So who doesn't like BMW? Is it me? Is it my father? Or is it my sister? And it could be even more interesting if someone says that my father used to think that my sister doesn't like BMW. Now she can continue the sentence. So it's not that easy at all. So the AI can help you to cover all of these things if you design your AI strategy and AI technology very well. So that's number one, do. Let's move to the second one. The second one, I would love to talk about the AI limits that we have today. And my recommendation is that you have to understand its limits and embrace the power. So when we talk about a contact center, this is the image we had maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So this was our understanding of the contact center. What everybody tries to push for is like totally automated contact center. If you talk to people, there are many talks about, even movies are around this concept, that there is an AI system that can do everything. But here is the case. We are not there yet. We are not there yet. And there are many steps here. This is the current stage of the contact centers. You have too many people, but this is the image you see always over the internet. So this is the image that everybody uses in their presentation. So we have to make sure that we have to go step by step. We have to use AI, make sure that we have an intelligent contact center. We have to use AI health agents. We have to use AI health supervisor, help all personas in a contact center world. Admin, agent, supervisor, C-level executive, everybody. And that helps us to go step by step toward a totally automated agent contact center that everybody talks about it. And sometimes when we talk about AI, people think, okay, AI can address all problems. We are not there yet. And here we have to understand what is the AI limits and how what are the power of AI and how effective an AI could be. And you see the examples that we had, how AI helped route insurance all the way. I mean, they have more agents, they can monitor more calls, everything through AI. So this is number 2 in terms of do's. So I have 2 don'ts as well. Number 1 is what I call don't forget the context. Context is very, very important. Give you an example. If someone calls and when you take the call as an agent, you understand that the waiting time was actually 20 minutes, but the estimated waiting time that we told to the caller was we told them 2 minutes. So you already know that the customer is not happy. You already know the customer might be angry. So you're waiting for an angry voice. That means looking at the context to understand the entire conversation and interaction. The other example that they have is like how we have to look at the context to understand the word and the text. So if someone talks, say, galaxy, what is the meaning of the word galaxy? If I tell you galaxy, maybe you think about the stars and the sky and everything else. So this is the first impression of the word galaxy. But if I tell you one more word, if someone says, hey, Galaxy and Los Angeles, suddenly you may think, oh, now we are talking. Maybe you're talking about Los Angeles Galaxy, which is a soccer team. And soccer is the football in the rest of the world. In the U.S., we call it soccer and football, and USA, LA Galaxy. Suddenly everything connected to each other, and suddenly it does make sense. So how 2 words next to each other suddenly should further light on the understanding of the conversation. After that, when someone talks, then you have better understanding of what's going on. And that's how AI system works. So look at the all words, look at the all combination to figure out how it works. Just imagine now, rather than saying Los Angeles, I might say S9. Then you might say, oh, Galaxy and S9. Oh, now we are talking about Samsung Galaxy S9, which is a phone. Then we say, okay, Samsung is a brand. We are talking about phone, and also another version used to be S8. So suddenly, the conversation after that is leaning toward a conversation about a phone. A Samsung phone could be Galaxy S9. So when we analyze voice and text, we have to look at every single data, what we call context, around this conversation, to understand us better. If we forget about the context, we might just do not get as much as possible from any conversation. Context is very important, so don't forget the context. The last one, I said don't set it and forget it. This is also important. So humans can be the judge and monitor. We always think that AI can do everything, A to Z. You just turn it on and it goes all the way. If you look at the cartoon on the right side, both computer and human might say, can you do anything right? I mean, they always worry about the other side. And for that reason, you have to keep the human in the loop. We heard from Lindsey and Kyle that they moved from 0.003% all the way to 100% monitoring. That's the power of AI. That AI can help you go from almost 0% all the way to 100% monitoring every single call. But you need the human in the loop. Here, how supervisor or a manager can get involved and being in loop that, okay, I observe, I monitor all 100% of the calls, and these are like, say, 20 calls that we need to look at it carefully. And they can go and look at it and look at all analytics coming up from the AI system and talk to the agent. So definitely AI can augment human capabilities, but look at the other side. Human also can augment AI capabilities because from this loop, the AI system start learning, start improving, and moving forward. And this is keeping human in the loop sometimes extremely helpful and is a must. So please don't set it and forget it. Lindsey, back to you.
Thanks for sharing, Jafar. Really couldn't agree with those do's and don'ts more. And knowing all that you said at Observe, we really believe it's critical that you put a solution in place that has a deep data set and contact centers in your specific subject matter, because that's what drives the highest accuracy. And without that accuracy, you can really only get so far with these tools. So great do's and don'ts there. We're going to wrap up shortly here and answer everyone's questions, but let's talk about what to expect next from voice AI. At Observe, we're really placing bets on three big things. The first is that AI will continue to learn, and it will get more intuitive and automated over time. So you can imagine features like unsupervised insights, where the AI suggests keywords and themes and important moments you should monitor on calls, and suggest those things so that you don't even have to really program what you should find. It's just served up to you. And also automating a bigger piece of the process, such as more parts of the scorecard, including looking at things like multi-step processes and more complex processes. So the second thing we see is that as the insights piece becomes a little bit more automated and unsupervised, teams will be freed up to spend more time on coaching. We hear time and time again that people are turning their quality analysts into coaches. So you can picture new ways to offer targeted coaching right in tools like ours. So imagine that you sit down to prepare for a one-to-one or a coaching session, and in minutes you get a report that identifies which areas of opportunity you should discuss with that agent. You can see their progress over time. You can assign a remediation or next step, or play from a list of clips that they should listen to, play those meaningful moments from calls. And then the third is deeper analysis of trends, particularly related to performance. So not just how agents perform or how your contact center performs, but picture really new big things like answering questions about which quality analysts and supervisors are actually driving behavior change, what coaching content is working or not, and what topics should trainers create content around in the future. Imagine a word cloud. So ultimately, we see all of this happening more and more on live calls as well, and we see agents being augmented live on those calls. But these are just some trends that we're pursuing and that we see happening right now. So before we open it up for Q&A, Jafar, I think you had one more special announcement, and then we can answer some folks' questions.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to talk at Finance Open Talk 2020. This is quite a unique opportunity for everyone to learn about customer experience, and we have amazing panelists, keynote speakers, and theater sessions, and some specific workshops for Talkdesk customers. This will be on April 22nd and 23rd in San Francisco, and I would like to everybody to join us as we are announcing a special code for our folks that were at this webinar. Please use that and use the 50% off. And as you can register as soon as possible to use this discount. And I hope to see you all in San Francisco on April 22nd and 23rd. Thanks very much, Lindsey.
Great. We hope to see you as well. We will also be there. Okay, so let's open up some of the questions here. Okay. Is this tool platform agnostic? So that was the first question from William. If we're referring to Observe and Talkdesk and our integration specifically, yes, it is platform agnostic. And then we have a second question here around how does integration work? So I'll take this one just quickly. In our case at Observe, integration takes about 3 to 6 weeks. The way that it works is you send us your call recordings in pretty much any format. Metadata is also really important, and the more metadata you can send us, the more opportunity we have to create filters. You can send that through an S3 or through an API, and then the process is pretty simple from there. We do configuration, and then we do a formal onboarding and training and offer ongoing customer success. The next question I'll throw over to you, Kyle. So it says, in your opinion, what is the most important KPI to monitor for customer satisfaction specifically, or how does Root think about monitoring customer satisfaction?
Sure. So on our end, I would say the most important insight that we're looking for is the customer negative sentiment. And I think the reason for that is we've found a lot of value since we implemented Voice AI and really started looking at the calls that this insight was identifying. What it tells us, it shows from a customer's perspective in all of these interactions, even if it's a small portion of the call. So if our agent makes a comment or we're discussing something going on with the account, if there is distaste in the tone, in the word choices, all of those are picked up, all those moments are picked up by Voice AI, and it calls that out to us. And it really helps us understand how our customers are reacting when they're transacting with us.
Thanks for sharing. And we have another question I'll throw over to you as well, Kyle. It's about how do the agents themselves respond to Voice AI? And to caveat this, I know some of our customers, the agents are getting comments through the platform and they really know that Observe is being used. Others may not necessarily be logging in yet. How does that work over at Root? Are the agents logging in? Is it welcomed or resisted? And how do you see that kind of working in the future?
Sure. So current state, we haven't set our agents up to have login access. That is something part of our Q1 roadmap that our technology is something that we want to share not only at the leader and support team levels, but also at the agent level so that they can self-discover for some of these interactions and insights that we're able to capture. I think there'll be a lot of value once we get in that space to be able to take what they have found during self-discovery into coaching conversations. On the opposite end of it, so where we are today of just having it rolled out at the supervisor and quality level. The agents at first, I think they were confused at what it was, and that's just part of that change curve. So for us, it was just getting them involved to understanding what the meaning of 100% call coverage was and also how the tool functions. So we do share it in conversations as we identify these moments and truly what the percentages mean and what they're telling us. I will say one of the best value adds for us, I don't know how many times as a leader agents will default when a behavior is being addressed or a call is being pulled and talked through, where the agent will say that was just a one-off, just that one situation where it happened. And as a leader, you combat that of, this is a trend that we've seen on past experiences and so on, rather than having to dig through and try to find those other calls to prove it as a trend. You can quickly show from one of the insights, whatever one you're focusing on in Voice AI, that this isn't just a one-off, this is a trend, and truly put a plan together to reduce that from continuing.
Thank you. And I'm just going to add to that as well. So something we've heard from other companies that we work with is not to weaponize this tool. You can use it to find areas of opportunity, but you can also identify what top agents do best. So for example, look at who is turning negative sentiment into positive sentiment quickly and on particularly difficult calls. What are they doing and how can you really recognize that? So using this as a way to learn from agents who are on the front line is really one of the most positive benefits. We have one more question here. I'll flip this one to you, Jafar. As our AI expert, what are you most excited about when it comes to using voice AI in contact centers in the future? You've been around the industry for a long time. What are you looking forward to next?
Absolutely. The current trend, one of the current trends in artificial intelligence world is voice analysis, conversation analysis, conversation AI. All these terms talks about one thing, how we can use voice as a medium to do everything else. So if you look at new cars right now, they have voice activated, say, as a driver can talk to the car through the voice. It makes everything easier. If you look at Alexa and Google Home and other tools like that, what they try to connect to the household via voice. And this voice now is going everywhere. You would like to understand the voice of customers. And maybe 10 years ago, a lot of emphasis was on the text understanding. But now we understand voice has a lot of information that when it goes to text, some of them might be lost in translation. So if someone is angry, the passion, the agony, the pain, all of these things is very important when you look at the voice and when you analyze the voice. So voice as a medium right now, even going to cover such as touch screen and touching and all of these touch points, because now you maybe even you want to turn on the TV, you might say turn on or turn off. This has made your life easier. Some people might think, oh, this is unnecessary. Then I can just click the button and turn on the TV. Why should I do this? And I am telling you, this is how technology works. Technology pushes every aspect of our life. We like it or we don't like it. Maybe some people like to read books on the paper, but we have ebooks, we have ebook reader, we have tablets. All of these improvement happens because some people in technology thought that maybe this is a good way to move forward, such as voice analysis and voice activation X, whatever it is. And I'm telling you that it will change how we live sooner or later, even like back to the household, when you want to turn on, say, a coffee maker. That should be there because it will be a commodity sooner or later to understand how someone talks and what is the meaning of that speech, whatever it was, and turn it to an action. And it's not easy at all. I'm telling you, even right now, a 5-year-old kid can trick Amazon Alexa. If you see how they're focused on one thing, just get an order and execute that. Alexa is doing this really great. But still sometimes they don't get it. There are too many accents, too many words that may become, maybe too many noise in the environment. So this is very challenging, but voice is one of the hot trends in the AI's domain, and companies such as Observe leading that. And I am one of the fans. The technology is great, and you have seen how it works in the practice as well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being a fan. As we finish up here, please follow up. If you have questions, you can reach out to any of the three of us. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. You can also reach out to sales@Observe.AI if you want to see a demo. You can also find us at Open Talk as well. So I think that's really it, and we can wrap up here. But thanks, everyone, for joining, and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thanks.